Sonic Boom!
Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight on another special episode with our special guest, That Fat Fellow. Um, we are so super excited for this episode. We got some pretty cool things to talk about when it comes to sonic booms. So, not the guile form, but the form of what we have this phenomenon that we see in jets and aircrafts. So yeah, we're super excited to talk about this, but let's go ahead and say hi to everyone that's pulled up a chair to the table. How you doing this week there, Anthony?
I've been doing pretty good.
We got some connection problems with you right now, Anthony. So hold up for a second. I'll throw it off to BV real quick while you get in a better spot, Anthony. How you doing tonight, brother?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Better. Got the boiler done, and hopefully it's all working. So I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Home, everybody. Can't see at the moment.
All right, sorry, Anthony. I just muted you, brother, because you're roboting right now, and I don't know if you can hear me telling you that. You can unmute yourself, but yeah, sorry. Anyways, I'm gonna come to you last just this time, just so you can get in a better spot. But I'll throw it off to real quick to Frankie. How you doing this evening, brother?
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I hope you all had a blessed day. Looking forward to the presentation. Sonic Boom, baby. All right. Back to you,
Absolutely, yeah.
Vader.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Oh, looks like there we go. All right, Anthony, can you hear us now, brother? All right, yeah. All right,
I'm
you're
not
good to go.
having any hearing y'all. I'm not having any trouble hearing y'all.
Okay, go ahead, brother. We can hear you clearly now.
I'm sorry about that. Our phone was going crazy. I don't know what's going on with it. But Shabbat Shalom, everybody, and happy to be here. Very excited about the topic. And I've got some questions too. So
Yeah, absolutely. And last but not least, welcome Tommy, that flat fellow, to the table again. This is your second time. So this time we got some pretty interesting stuff to talk about. So I'm pretty excited about that. So we have Sonic Boom. Hey, how you doing today, brother?
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Glad to be here and talk about this. Been looking into this for a while and actually did a little refresher course on it today to kind of touch up on it, and I learned some new things myself. So I think it's going to be a pretty interesting topic tonight.
Yeah, and I'm excited about the conversation after your presentation too, and see what other stuff we can kind of stir up or bring to the table from different ideas and thoughts in mind. So
Definitely, brother. The reason why I wanted to talk about this is because I think it relates to Flat Earth really well because it shows the deception that NASA's presenting. So when we talk about sonic booms, it's important to look at the miles per hour which it occurs, which is 761 miles per hour, give or take. Now, Neil deGrasse Tyson just did a recent interview where he talks about the speed of sound, and he's at about 700 miles an hour at the sea level. So that's an important number to think about later when we talk about Mach 25. But starting back at Mach 1, which is 761 miles an hour. So what kind of things can we observe with ourselves that produce a sonic boom before even aircraft were invented? And that would be like a whip. The sound a whip makes is a sonic boom. That would be the first thing that made a sonic boom. Thunder is actually a sonic boom, and it's the sonic boom that's produced by lightning. That's another thing that we observe. So by constantly seeing these things in our life, especially the thunder, and we can look at the relative speed of sound versus the speed of light, and we've all been outside and had that thunderstorm happen, and we see the lightning, and then we can count, you know, the seconds until we hear the thunder, and we can see how far away the storm is. So, little demonstrations we've all done ourselves in using sonic booms in our life. We're all experts, more or less, on sonic booms. We just don't realize it because we use it all the time. Now, the noise produced by something moving faster than the speed of sound is what causes that sonic boom. So, as an airplane, for instance, travels through the air, like the Concorde used to back in the UK and France, because we didn't have the Concorde here in the United States. We made that law about not flying over residential areas with faster than sound aircraft. But when an airplane breaks 761 miles an hour, it produces what's called a conical wave behind it. And what that is it's once it hits that sound barrier at 761 miles an hour, the object is actually traveling faster than that speed of sound. So let's kind of back up a little bit to say what would happen at 500 miles an hour. So if a plane was traveling at 500 miles an hour, what you would do is you would see the plane, or you would actually hear the plane, and then you'd see the plane. So you could hear it coming, because relative to the speed of the plane, the sound is actually traveling 200 miles an hour faster than the actual speed of the sound. But if the plane, let's say, started moving 600 miles an hour, once again you would see it moving. Once again you would hear it before you actually see it, because the sound is traveling faster than the speed of the plane. Now, once you get to 761 miles an hour, now you're going to see and hear the plane at the same time. It's produced that sonic boom. And that's what I'm kind of referring to here. But it's not just the nose of the plane that produces the sonic boom. The tail of the plane actually produces a sonic boom too. And that is referred to as an N wave, because the nose of the plane is so aerodynamic that the rest of the plane falls in line with the initial separation of the air particles in front of it. So when the initial propagation of sound occurs, because the fuselage of the plane has broken the sound barrier, you have that conical wave that kind of begins to proceed behind it, but the tail of the plane is actually not in line with the fuselage there. So it's going to produce a second sonic boom that is indetectable to the human ear. But we can break down the sound waves as the plane flies by, and we can see this, and it's called the N wave. And I'll touch on this a little bit later, because that's very important in proving how NASA's lying to us. So, do you guys have any questions so far about what I'm going over? Because I know I'm just going 1,000 miles an hour here.
I kind of do, about the shape of the nose of the plane. You say it's aerodynamic. Now let's compare that to like the shape of a 747. If you could get a 747 moving fast enough to actually break the sound barrier, would it do it easier than a more aerodynamic type of plane?
No. It's gonna break the sound barrier regardless of ease. The thing that will separate it is the medium in which it's traveling through. So the higher up you travel, like the Concorde, for instance, when it was flying up much higher than conventional aircraft nowadays, it was much easier for it to travel faster, because the density that it's moving through was less thick. Does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah.
Totally. So because there are less molecules to basically slow them down, they hit the sound barrier faster.
Yeah, no barrier there. Right.
But
exactly.
Or less of a barrier, less.
But it looks when you got that smoke looking stuff coming off the jet or space shuttle or whatever, it looks like a puff of smoke or something, and like a cone around it.
Correct. That's the visual representation of the conical wave that you see. And the higher up you go, the slower you have to travel to break the sound barrier, because the speed of sound varies depending on the medium it's traveling through. So the same thing with the speed of light. We all know through, as flat earthers, the different tests that we've been doing is if you shine light through glass, it'll slow light down. If you shine light through a diamond, you can slow light down. As a matter of fact, you can slow light down to the point shining it through multiple diamonds to where you can have an object like a photon traveling faster than the speed of light, and you'll get what's called a light boom. It's kind of like a sonic boom, but you're actually exceeding the speed of light with sound.
That's interesting.
So-called speed of light, right? Because we know, because what the C is the speed of sound, or sorry, the speed of light in a vacuum. So where do we have a perfect vacuum? And that's a whole nother kind of subject. Because I've kind of thought about that. Like, could you, if there was a vacuum, then wouldn't any degree of movement instantly mean you were sonic booming?
You would get no sound whatsoever because if you're in a vacuum, there's no particles for you to move through. So there would be no sound whatsoever. Because you got to have the propagation of the air particles moving out in front of you, right? So
it's exactly why we can't have radio waves from the moon type of deal, but
Exactly.
But they've changed the entire goalpost for that because now they say the moon is inside Earth's atmosphere, according to mainstream science.
which is insane.
So now that they've said that Earth's atmosphere extends beyond the moon, now you have a medium of propagation.
Bingo.
Yeah, they always do the move the goalpost. Hey there, Trev. Shalom, brother. Interesting. Well, so this is my thing. Like, so I wonder if there's like, so the degree. So okay, so the mile per hour, or however you want to explain that, that changes in the density, but
Correct.
okay, but then obviously we're in an enclosed system. Why? I'm just trying to say, like, how I guess how is sonic booms a way to like kind of explain how does it go with the flat Earth is what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to just kind of get that piece, but maybe you weren't done explaining your whole kind of thing before you got questions.
I just wanted to make sure you guys understood where I was going there because I was
Okay,
moving
totally.
it. I was going through that presentation pretty quick at probably the speed of sound there. But,
Gotcha. Okay, yeah.
Right on. Continue.
All right, so earlier I went over the fact that the nose of the plane creates that one sonic boom, and then the tail of the plane creates the second sonic boom, and that is referred to an N wave, and you can only see that on a computer because the two sonic booms happen so close together, it just still sounds as one. So when a spaceship, quote unquote, for lack of a better word, is coming back for a landing, like one of the ones that I like to refer back to is the double sonic boom at the Dragon launch landing for SpaceX a couple years ago. Right? So as they're landing, they produce twin sonic booms, one right after the other. Well, the thing about sonic booms, as we just went over, is it's just that propagation of air. You have to have that medium to move through. And once you break that sound barrier and you drop back down to subsonic, so once you go through at 761 miles an hour, you've reached supersonic speed. Once you drop back down below it, you return back to subsonic speed. Now, when a sonic boom occurs, it only occurs from subsonic to supersonic. It does not produce a sonic boom when it goes from supersonic back down to subsonic. So as these space shuttles are landing, for lack of a better word, whatever you want to call them, blimps, balloons, whatever, as they're landing and they're traveling now from supersonic supposedly to subsonic, why are we getting sonic booms?
Exactly.
Interesting. So I actually pulled up the video of it real quick. If you don't mind, I cannot. Yeah. So it.
Before we watch that video, I
Go ahead.
got a quick little story that happened to me a little while back. Uh, I say a little while back. It's probably been 20 years now, but I used to live right close to my mom, and I was walking up to her house one night, and it had just gotten dark, and I looked up and I saw this fireball going across the sky, leaving this enormous trail behind it. Well, I ran on up to my mom's house. I said, "Mom, come out and look at this." And she says, "No, come in and look at the TV. The space shuttle just landed in Florida." I'm like, "No, it ain't no way it landed in Florida. It's up there in the sky. Look at this. It's moving pretty fast. So I'm trying to rush her on. But that's what they were claiming that was is a space shuttle land. The only thing is it was still daylight in Florida, and that's on Eastern time, and I was in Central time, and it was dark. And they were claiming it was live on TV. So I was scratching my head about that the whole time. But it was about an hour later is when the walls just shook. Just at sonic boom sound that the walls shook. Oh, now what that was, who knows? I don't know. But anyway, sorry the story took so long, but
No, that's a great story because that tells you that the sonic boom that you heard didn't come from what you saw. Because what you just said was that it happened an hour later.
yeah,
How fast would an object have to be traveling in order to produce a sonic boom an hour later?
I don't know, but this seemed like it was traveling maybe just a little quicker than just a passenger plane across the sky, but it was enormous. It was from my view, it was it was about the size of a softball, and it looked like it was on fire.
So what NASA tells us is that the reentry speed, even on like Apollo 11, was 24,500 something miles an hour, something along those lines. So given the fact that Mach 1 is 761 miles an hour, you're talking about like Mach, what, 35? And we could definitely, I mean, we've all been on like a ride at the fair or at a theme park where we start experiencing some G's, right? Could you imagine the amount of G force you would experience traveling at 24,500 miles an hour as you ran into the atmosphere?
Exactly.
Could you imagine traveling that fast to start with? A 223 bullet only travels 3,300 feet per second at muzzle. That's 8 times slower than what they claim the ISS is going.
So it's just all ridiculous. And what I would like to do at some point is find someone that has a computer with the software, and we can watch some of these NASA landings where they're producing these sonic booms and break it down. Because remember the space shuttles, they all have that tail fin on them. Remember?
Right.
And because they have that tail fin on them, as opposed to like let's say a missile that doesn't have any fins on the back of it, you got that singular sonic boom. You don't have that N wave. But if you were to plug the space shuttle sound coming back in, you get that sonic boom. I want to see the N wave actually appear on the computer software and show us that it's actually two sonic booms and it's not
Right.
just something else making that noise.
You want to catch them twice.
Correct.
Okay, that's smart. Yep.
Because in order to go ahead,
No, go ahead.
I was going to say it'll be easy to replicate a sonic boom, but to replicate two sonic booms that fast, it'd be very, very difficult to do unless you were actually doing it.
Do you think that they could be extra devices that could aid in producing a sound similar to a sonic boom? Or are you thinking more lines like well here let's watch this clip real quick of this shuttle, and then you'll have to watch it on YouTube. Unfortunately, anyways, and then we'll kind of uh, talk about it more in depth. But I have a question, but I want other people to see what we're talking about. So here we go, guys. I'm gonna play it.
hapa. Yeah, what happened?
Anyways, yeah, it was literally a 5 minute and 44 long clip. Says sonic a double sonic boom, and there's here it says oh there we go. I'm gonna play that back. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm gonna pull that back up since I found that. There we go. Um, Play it one more time. Okay, so in this video, you hear the hit that boom boom. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Exactly. So they're going to have to speed up to produce the sonic boom, since the sonic boom only travels in one direction. So if an object is slowing down, going from supersonic to subsonic, it's not going to produce a sonic boom anymore. So it's only producing that sonic boom while it's traveling 761 miles an hour and above. But once it drops below the threshold of Mach 1, you're no longer producing a sonic boom. And you don't produce a sonic boom when you break the sound barrier in that direction. So obviously they're not traveling 761 miles an hour as they're landing, yet they're producing sonic booms. So it
Correct.
has to either be a secondary device or something else is like they're speeding up to make the sound before they like. It doesn't make any sense.
Putting another clip in.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It. Oh my gosh, I just hit my mute. I said, yeah, it could be exactly like that where they're using because like if you time two explosions in a distant area loud enough like people could hear it or vice versa if they just simply sped up to the speed before they slowed down and stopped, they could say, oh, look, they were going so fast they broke the sound barrier as they were coming into our atmosphere, and now they're slowing down. You know what I mean? But that's what they're basically saying. They're saying they're going so fast into our atmosphere that they're just instantly breaking the sound barrier, and then they're starting to slow down. But that could easily be mimicked just by speeding up and then slowing down. There's no difference.
Exactly. That's why I really want to get it in some computer software so that we can determine if they're producing the sound that we would expect to see. And I did bring this up to Bob from Globebusters, and hopefully he'll look into it. And 'cause he's got some great computer software, so maybe he'll look into that. Can give us some answers.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Bob's definitely smart. So awesome. Well, does anyone else have thoughts or the things that they want to brought up, or do you still have more that you wanted to go over?
I actually went over it way faster than I wanted to, but when you get excited about a subject, I tend to talk pretty quick. I'm just glad you
What?
guys were able to keep up with it there.
Totally.
Well, this is not exactly my opinion, but it is an opinion of some people's. Um, it's been said that like a space shuttle breaks the sound barrier, or a rocket breaks the sound barrier going into space, and it shows that cone around it. They claim that that's them breaking through the firmament. Have you ever heard that before?
I've not heard that.
I'll have to share a video with you, but I don't want to like say that that's exactly what they're saying either. So,
But we can physically see that same compression wave at sea level as well. Like if a jet buzzes by an aircraft carrier doing the speed of sound, like a hornet flies by. I mean, we can watch videos on that. We can see it for ourselves, that it's going to produce that same thing at sea level as the space shuttle would.
No matter where you're at.
Totally. And I don't
Yeah.
think I know what you're talking about, but I personally he's kind of making the argument just as a globe then, because it's like, well, the air itself is the firmament, and so when people go faster than the air, you're breaking the sound barrier, you're breaking the firmament. And I, whips can do it. So I don't know. I think it's a solid structure above us. But kind of back to sonic booms. So do you like? Okay, so is there anywhere else in nature that anyone can think of where they have sonic booms, or like for instance, like there's the mantis crab.
Yep. Yep.
Uh, those things like create like plasma or whatever when they like strike. And it's such a concussive sound that it like knocks fish out. Even if they don't like physically strike the fish. Um,
There's some dragon tails. Same thing.
hmm So it's
I've
just.
actually things break the skin on people and they bleed and stuff like that.
hmm
Mantis shrimp thing, what you talk about? I
Yeah,
watch videos on that. It's pretty wild.
yeah. But yeah, I guess there's not that many times in nature other than the kind of ones that we already mentioned that we really ever have seen sonic booms.
Mm-hmm.
I guess bullets are sonic booms, right? But it's just you can't hear that over the sound of the explosion.
Uh, I mean, yeah. Have you ever got to the side of a bullet and heard it going through the air though?
Oh, totally,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like
Yeah.
Sound, yeah,
Yep.
like a race car or something.
almost
But
like yeah, it's almost like it's constantly breaking the sound barrier or something.
uh-huh. Yep.
Because you're literally, yeah, when the bullet flies past, like you're hearing the friction, or if you hear a ricochet, right? Like you're hearing the vibration that it's making as it flies off, right?
Bing.
Well, that sounds like another gunshot when it makes impact.
No, for sure. I'm just saying, like, how I'm just thinking about how things flying in the air, like for instance, like a bee fluttering its wings. Are we hearing the air move, right? Or are we hearing the wings move? Or is it just the vibration thereof? I don't know. Or a mixture
Oh,
of all of it.
yeah.
Hmm.
So my consensus on NASA here is the fact that they've moved the goalpost now, and the Earth's atmosphere extends beyond the moon. We now have a medium between the Earth and the moon. So they say there's no sound in space, correct? Well, now there's a medium for sound to travel through, so there
hmm
should be sound in space. So they can't have it both ways.
Or at least space,
Bingo. Bingo. Good one.
yeah, or at least the space outside the atmosphere. Like that's so ridiculous, man. I don't get how they can just literally say, "Oh, wait." So does that mean like cuz doesn't their whole setup change, right? Like, because does that change the Van Allen
Van Allen
radiation?
belt.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, it should.
And when they're landing these things on Mars, so as they land on Mars and they land, what do you hear? Nothing. Where's the sonic boom? There's still a medium of propagation. It just changes the speed at which. So they say Mars' atmosphere is much thinner than Earth's, so the sonic boom will appear at a much lower speed.
Mhm.
So we should hear that sonic boom, but you never do. Why? Because it's not
Hmm.
real, obviously.
Do you think
Oh,
that the
And
atmosphere?
interesting. You not only do you not hear the boom, it should be easier for the boom to happen because of that.
right,
And when it quote unquote comes when a space shuttle comes into our atmosphere, it sonic booms. So why isn't it sonic booming when it does it on Mars as well? Interesting. Yeah, that's a little. I think it's a little oversight.
Well, also it's let's see, where was I going with this? Do you think that at some point would the atmosphere get thin enough to where, let's say, a very large balloon could actually break that sound barrier? Because it's been said
it's
and
a
theorized
speed. It's a speed.
that NASA uses balloons to get up there. And honestly, if we look back, everybody that's actually been high enough, it's always been in a balloon anyway. But do you think it could actually get thin enough and the balloon actually be moving fast enough at some point to break the sound barrier at a higher altitude?
Definitely, if the atmosphere was thin enough, then the speed at which you have to travel to produce that sonic boom would be very low, relative to the speed of 761 miles an hour. So, yes, if you get a balloon to travel fast enough, you could break the sound barrier.
Has anyone ever, like, speaking of balloons, has anyone ever, like, I know, like, they send balloons up to look up, but has anyone ever, like, timed how fast it takes it to get to 120,000 miles?
I have seen ones that are up there, but it ain't that fast at all. You'd have to shut in, put it in a cage, kind of like what they're doing. And I don't know whether they're faking the sonic booms or not with these shuttles, with most of the old ones, but you'd have to encage them and make it go faster. I don't see any way of pushing it
Now,
faster.
another thing you have to take into account is temperature as well. Temperature has an effect on the speed of sound. So let's just look at airplanes, for instance. Now, an airplane traveling at sea level has to travel that 761 miles an hour to break the sound barrier. But if it's up at, let's say, 30,000 feet, it only has to travel 670 miles an hour. So you've already dropped 90 miles an hour right there just off 30,000 feet. So you staggered this up through the atmosphere and realizing that it's getting less and less dense as you're going exponentially, that the speed of sound will be so low that that sonic boom should occur with a balloon at a certain altitude.
At a slower speed, though, right?
Right, right. The higher you go, the slower the speed is. Oh, and a
Yeah.
little side note. One thing I found looking into this is I know this is completely unrelated, but it has to do with airplanes. Is people always say that airplane food tastes bad. Well, the food tastes the same as the food here. It's just that when you get up that high, your taste buds are compressed and they're not as sensitive as they are here on the ground. That's why the food tastes different. But little side note.
That makes sense. That makes
That
sense.
has never thought about that. Pretty cool.
Here's another thing. I don't know if y'all know this, but like planes, like just commercial planes, like they're not like completely sealed. They can't be completely sealed. They have to have like airways in them and stuff so that
Freeze.
naturally will naturally leak out. And then that's how they actually maintain air pressure within the cabin. They have to have something like air literally pushing out in order for them to maintain not only fresh air but also the pressure. So the reason why I'm bringing that up is because when they're going up into space or whatever, right? they're all in their suits, right? Because the there's no way that aircraft could be totally sealed, right? If that was the case, if there was any type of leak, it could no way sustain in a vacuum, right? So
That's correct.
yeah, so what my point is how are they making airtight, like 100% airtight things? Like when you have like a wire going to an engine that comes into you get what I mean? It's like not everything is sealed on the inside. You have to have. So I don't know. What are
You
your
would
thoughts
think
about
so,
that?
with all that water flying around and stuff like that. But continue. Go ahead.
Hey, Tommy, is it true that the windows in an airplane are curved to project the curvature of the flat plane?
Well, it's not the fact that they're designed for that purpose. They have to curve to maintain the shape of the fuselage that you're
Right.
inside of. So when you're looking at something through a convex curve as opposed to like a magnifying glass, for instance, concave, you're going to get the illusion of curve. And then you got to remember too, your eye is basically a representation of the plane at which you live on. You got your your lens above. It's like the firmament itself, and that's going to produce the same type of curving effect at certain distances. So, but when you take a actual camera lens, it's not a fisheye lens, and you film it, out of a straight place like the cockpit where you have a flat window, then you're not going to see curvature.
Yeah, because my a friend of mine told me that he looked outside of a plane window and he could see the curvature. So, and I just seen something that said that the windows are curved with like a fisheye lens so that you can see the curvature.
Oh, and
That's why.
I would use Wit to Gets It where he shows uh Neil disgraceful. I mean, Neil Tyson, where he says, um, Eel Barmnagarn or whatever, the guy that jumped for Red Bull, that at 120,000 feet, he couldn't see the curvature. That he would just be 2 millimeters off of a volleyball. So if you can't see curvature at 120,000 feet, how are you going to do something that's 4 times as small? Or,
You know,
4 times as high?
I've flown from here to Vegas and back, stopped off many cities. Now, depending on where you're sitting at in the flight, the windows are different. So there's times where it looks like there's a curve, and there's times where it doesn't. So that would be depending on the window, also. Just wanted to
Yeah.
say.
Well,
And
Tom,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I
Yeah,
was going
because
to
I
say,
wanted to bring that. I wanted to bring that up to him if we get into another flat Earth discussion, and he tries to throw that at me. I wanted to tell him, you're looking through a window that is conveying a curve because of the curvature of the plane. So I'll just.
I'll say
Exactly.
this way: looking through the window, sitting in a cockpit, which I have many times, I've never seen curvature.
Oh, okay.
Same
All
here.
right, cool.
Same here. Same here.
If I had, I wouldn't be here, right?
Exactly.
Totally.
I got thousands of pictures, and not once have I ever found curvature. Not once. So, and I still take pictures when I fly.
Sweet.
Totally.
Well, Tommy, you recently attended a conference in your neck of the woods. You want to tell us about any happenings that we hadn't heard of or seen yet, which is very little on my end anyway.
Well, I'll give you a story that happened, and I'm not going to give the person's name, but this is a story that you have not heard about Flattoberfest, and it just shows you how great of a community we have. I was at the hotel. There was maybe 4 or 5 of us there, and I was sitting at a table with 4 people. We were basically the only people there, and the two of the people got up to go get some drinks. The person that I was sitting with was real sick and ended up passing out in his chair. Within one phone call, 3 minutes from the phone call, there was a doctor, a a paramedic, and a paramedic's assistant on site helping this person, and food was brought to him. So within 3 minutes of a phone call, no calling. I'm not calling 911. I just make one phone call to a flat earther, and there's
Right.
a doctor on site, paramedic, and a paramedic's assistant, and food brought to the person in under 3 minutes.
That's
Like
so
Perfect.
that.
awesome.
Perfect.
Just a great
Good
community.
community. Good
That's,
community.
That's so awesome. Yeah, people come through like that, and when you have communities like that, it's definitely a thing to want to be a part of for sure. And you got to go do some. I saw you on Austin's stream. That was awesome. Um, Austin's a pretty cool cat, and I bet you enjoyed being around him and Kai as well, getting to meet her. So, and like the whole gang, right? Because everyone, a lot of people know who you are, Tommy. So a lot of people, it's really cool to be able to see you right there with our other favorite people. So yeah, it was definitely a joy to watch all the different streams with you.
Oh, yeah, definitely, man. It was so awesome to be out there and do that activism because they were out there on the microphone, and every activist across the country, it's the first time that we've all been together. With Realm Walker out there, and Authentic Intent, Critical Inception, Witsit Gets It, the entire Kakalaki crew. We're all there doing activism together, for the first time. And just Jack, everybody's there, and they're passing the mic around, talking about flat Earth. And at one point, they're like, "Hey, you want to get on the mic, And I'm like, there's nothing left to say. You guys have nailed it because Whitson has done such a great job traveling around the country that he's just hit fact after fact and just listed them all out. And his presentation with Kai was amazing and just to the point where there's like almost nothing to add to it because it's so concise and so factual. If somebody walking by couldn't have, I mean, there was a cop that was there and he said at the end of it, he will look into it.
Right on. Right on.
Speaking of the cops, I heard somebody like put some sort of order in Austin's face while he was trying to eat or something like that.
So the cops were called the first time we were out there, and they were talking about the ordinance. And of course, the ordinance, we already looked it up. So Austin explained to the cops what the ordinance was because that's our job to explain to the cops what the actual ordinance are. So they were able to sit down and watch us instead of harassing us. So they got 4 or 5 of them together, sat around and watched us. The business owners kind of came out, watched us well. Nothing they can do because we know our rights. Then a lawyer walked up, started citing the ordinance. Well, we have a copy of it, and we can cite it as well. And he got so frustrated, he just flipped us off and walked away.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's all.
So
and then
ridiculous.
we got to the college, and of course, within I'd say 2 minutes of arriving on campus, cops are hitting us from both groups at the same time. But hours later, we're still there. Cops can't do nothing because we know our rights.
Exactly.
Well, and are they gonna literally arrest every single one of you? You know what I mean? Like, there's so many of you out there. It's like, okay, all of you come and get into this paddy wagon. It's like, no.
No, exactly.
Yeah, there's 42 of us. Good luck.
Yeah, totally. And that was, you know what? They're like, gosh, we can't arrest them all because if we bring them all back to the station, they're going to be so loud. And I don't want to I don't want to get my feelings hurt more about the moon not being, moon landing not being real.
Right. All of us in there.
I kind of see about the ordinance too, though. Next year at Flattoberfest, pay the whatever it was, $150 ordinance thing. Go ahead and pay for the paperwork that you need, and then they'll have to hire a bunch of security guards for you, and then you can go all over town, and nobody can touch you, and you'll have hired security. Plus, it could get on CNN.
Yep, exactly. Because once you have a permit that's issued for it, now you have a legal right to be there with the permit So if there's any altercations, they're responsible for your safety there, because now you
Exactly.
have a legal right and you've taken the necessary steps to get the paperwork. So I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah, and not only that, right? But then you get to flat smack all those security guards, all those off-duty cops or whatever it is.
Or
Bingo.
whoever, anywhere in or whatever,
Well,
But
they're
yeah,
already gonna do the people, but now he's forcing people to be there. You know what I mean? It's almost like you're paying them to come learn about the flat Earth.
You're right.
All the security guards.
they could make a tourist attraction out of it.
And it really was a peaceful protest. I mean, there was nothing that you guys did that was out of the confines of a peaceful activism movement. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And
They are always that way.
We went through hell last year with all the activism that was going on, and you guys were like really, very professional about what you were doing. You know what I mean? So to give you a hard time, that was like really just a slap in our country's face. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Well, Tommy, I hate to kind of change the vibe of Flattoberfest, but I got a shout out Take on the World. Have you looked into it any? It's supposed to be coming up next year in possibly the same place in Ohio. But man, it was excellent last few months ago. Whenever I was able to go, have you looked into possibly trying to make one of those?
I have looked into try to make that. It's just so far away. I did go to Ohio once last year, but I have to just line my vacation up where I can take off work, where I can get at these things. But it's just so many different events I'd love to go to. But I try not to think as much about myself, and I try to spend my vacation time doing other things. One thing I don't talk about is I spend my vacation time helping out the local Special Olympics. So I like to volunteer my time doing kind of stuff like that rather than going to a bunch of conferences.
Also, I see Trevor in the chat. Feel free to join us, brother, if you want to come talk. It'd be awesome. But if you don't, no worries. No offense, but I just want to throw that out there. I saw him in chat. But sorry for interrupting, guys.
Yeah, come on, Trevor.
We don't bite much.
Tommy, you got to meet Trevor. He'd been a friend of mine for a long time, and I've never even met him.
That wasn't the first time I met Trevor, actually. Trevor came out to the flea market, did street activism with us one time. So, he's a good dude.
Yeah, Trevor was great. He was giving out scriptures and shouting out Jesus, Yeshua. It was so cool, man. I love when he does that. There's only one way, the truth, the light, and that's through Yeshua. I love when he does that. That was so cool.
So cool.
Have you ever heard him sing?
Sing?
Yeah.
No, that would be cool.
Trevor can sing, bro.
Kenny, I need a singer for my band.
Yeah. But yeah, I think back to the Flattoberfest thing. I honestly think that everybody should just kind of band together, put in 50 cents a piece or $1 or whatever, and get the permit, and
or it should just be got by the convention, since the tickets are that much a piece.
Well, if we need a permit, that's no problem, because one of the conceptions about flat earthers is a bunch of people with no jobs, sit around at their house all day on these computers looking at conspiracy videos. But what I found out that we're actually hard workers and business owners, especially in the Kakalaki crew here. So $150 is nothing to worry about, coming up for a permit. And speaking of that, Dr. Law was able to raise $500 at Flattoberfest to give to Austin to help them on their way to finish up the Clown World Tour.
Nice. You mean the Masquerade Tour?
Yeah, Masquerade Tour. Sorry.
That's
Clown World
that's
Tour,
of the Well, that's what it used to be when he was with he who shall not be named. But I know I think you're still good with him, but I think it was pretty messed up what that whole interaction was, and I don't think it was
I don't get
by
into
chance that that he.
none of get into none of that. That is nothing between us.
I know that's true, but it just makes me mad when I think about it. But anyways, yeah, so I see cool thing is like it's super far from me. I know that more than likely I'll never get to travel by plane again. And I have 4 children, so driving from I live in Utah, so driving from Utah all the way to South Carolina, plus all the expense of that, plus the tickets itself. And is it even is kids even a thing there?
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, there were lots of kids there. You'd be surprised. And they had an exhibit going on upstairs where a lot of the kids hung out, and they got to learn all kind of things about science. And Cammy and Zach did a really good job. It's
Mm.
called "How the World Works," and they had their tables set up there and showing all kinds of really cool things. It's not that bad of a drive either, because a few weeks ago I just drove out to Nevada and then drove back a week later, so it's not too bad, brother.
Why don't you set up a West Coast one, coast to coast? Do one on the East Coast and then one on the West Coast.
Or even more centralized.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you should have like three, or one in the Central, one in the West, and one in the East.
Yeah, that's not
Touch
bad.
all bases. Because we
Well,
got flat
whoever,
earthers all over this plane, man.
yeah, whoever wants to take on that responsibility to set up a conference, go ahead.
I
Exactly.
swear I said children. If I said kids, then shame on me.
Well, I've been kind of looking into a few areas like what I'm familiar with around Arkansas. Um, there's a place up in like the northwest corner of Arkansas. It's just beautiful, and I know they had a conference there a few years ago that had a lot of people there. Um, so we might can set up a conference somewhere in that area, maybe. Which I've been thinking about doing something like that.
I think if you get some speakers that agree to come out and some big names in the community, then you could probably get all the people to come out there. Just have a good area set up, a good venue for it, have a good price, and I'm sure people will travel because this is the only big events going on right now.
Yeah. I'd like to have all sorts of people, all the way from people like Sean Griffin to Bob Nodell, and and or Jaron to Wet Blaze or something like that. Just a whole variety of different speakers.
Yeah, it's just the logistics of getting him there or whether they're being paid for it. Like there's a lot of
Exactly.
stuff when it
Exactly.
comes into actually make then you got to, like you have to pay up front for the venue, right? And then hope that you sell the tickets you need to pay for it. So it would definitely be good, and Karen B obviously has some skills being able to organize and put that together, and I think there's other people in the community that will rise up and do that to those, to the same thing. And like we've joked about how cool it would be just for the people we have like in chat to come all and get to meet each other and talk in real life. So, yeah. Anyways,
And also just a coming together of all different views, like points of view and backgrounds and opinions and stuff like that, and just all come together as a unit. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's lean off each other's shoulders and let's not, bicker about amongst who's got the better truth kind of thing. Let's
for
put all
sure,
together.
for sure. So, I wanted to kind of bring something up because I don't know if y'all have been seeing it, but I've been seeing in the news a whole bunch, like just in my phone feed. Like I don't really look through much of it because most of my stuff is, but I do every so often look through it, and I've been seeing over and over all this stuff consistently about asteroids. And th- do y'all see that too? Do y'all see them keep pushing that narrative?
Yeah, I put an article up of a giant rock. It's going to be hitting the ocean and causing a tsunami. I
Yeah,
found it somewhere, and
they were
I don't know
talking
where
about
it
that about, I'd say, 6, 8 months ago, if I remember
Yeah, I think
right.
it was in the Guardian.
Hmm. That's just their way of dropping something from way high in a couple spots and creating what they want. Or they can drop something and it doesn't really do anything, but then they do something to the sea floor
So
or
I, I
something along
I'm
that line.
thinking more so lines of Revelation 9 because like me personally, I don't think that that's happened yet. I don't think that Revelation, yes, there's a lot of metaphor and vision, like it's of visions and stuff. But in so many parts where it says something happens, it'll go on and saying, okay, that beast you saw, this is what the beast was, or it explains what it was saying. But in Revelation 9 specifically, it just says what it says and then moves on. It doesn't go on and say, okay, when it was talking about the lotus, this is what it actually was talking about. And when it was talking about the angel falling from the heaven to the earth, this is actually what it was talking about. So and then, again, with all the amount of times in our lives that we have been shown propaganda of things falling from the sky, i.e., asteroids, spacecrafts, and
Hmm.
all the entertainment media out there, uh,
Propaganda.
they didn't
Yeah.
do that for a reason. And so I feel like they're prepping us for that. And at least when I like read scripture, I feel like that's like the next big thing that's gonna happen. Um,
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming.
they
Go
could
ahead.
even say that a meteor hit the ocean and caused a tsunami without it even happening,
Exactly.
and just caused the tsunami.
That's what I'm getting at.
For sure. But I'm saying, I think eventually, like, well, I think they may even do those things to get us used to the ideas. So, like, let's say all of a sudden we have all of these, rocks that are falling out, right? And they're like, okay, well, what's really happening is there's this big asteroid that's heading to us, and there's nothing we can, or we're trying to figure out what to do about it, right? And then it actually does hit us, but the asteroid isn't an asteroid. It's literally the angel. There's no way they can stop it, but they're propagandizing so that they control the narrative of it. So when it
Got
comes
you.
and these things happen, they can say, oh, it's an alien invasion, as opposed to what it describes in Revelation 9 is the pit being open and the lotus being set out, as well as um, their king.
Yeah,
So.
destroy the rock, which is God. And so
Exactly.
they all take the armies and just pile away at it. And I get it.
No, I'm
Yeah,
not
it was
even
talking
saying.
about.
I'm not well. I'm not saying that it's an actual rock. I'm saying they're going to say it's an asteroid, and then I
Right.
think they're gonna switch it up and be like, no, it's actually a spaceship, and it brought the aliens. Which again, Revelation 9, go read it. It talks about these lotus, and it's sci-fi imagery that we've seen in our heads. It has the tail like a tail of an alien from Aliens. It has the face and the hair and like the imagery of the predator. It's insane. It's crazy, the depiction that it gives, and it doesn't again go describe what this thing it's talking about it is, because it is giving you the description of it. So what my point is I've just personally seen a whole bunch of that, and I think that is is part of the propaganda of space travel to make people believe that it's possible
The
that
alien thing.
asteroids hit
Yeah.
us, or it's possible that aliens come us, right? Because like I'll give you an example. Starship
Got
Troopers, the bugs shoot plasma that hits an asteroid, then that shoots the asteroid strategically and hits us, and
Right.
kills people, like millions of people. So I'm saying like they've been showing us this imagery for a long time. Go ahead, Anthony.
Oh, I said we. All I said we had got it. We got it. But yeah,
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, I know. I
I
keep.
think it was Tommy a minute ago.
crazy. Yeah.
Oh, what were you gonna say, Tommy?
Oh, I was going to refer to Revelations 9:14, where it talks about the Euphrates River and the four demons that are bound there by God for a day and an hour, and will rise up and destroy a third of mankind. So that goes back to that Revelations 9 that you were talking about. But one of the things that I've noticed right now, I believe it was in um, Isaiah 19. I don't know the specific verse, but I know it's Isaiah 19 where it talks about the Nile drying up, and it's a sign of the end times. And it actually mentions this in Ezekiel and Zechariah as well. And right now, the Nile is running dry because they're building the dam there. So the prophecy is coming true. Whether or not they created that to fulfill the prophecy or the prophecy of
Exactly.
Revelation is accurate. So it's something to think about.
Well, that's like everything you're doing right now. They're pushing they're pushing the agenda to bring on God's wrath, and that's how I see it. They're
Well,
they're taking a narrative and running with it. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say I see it as them all trying to be the special boy to the most specialist boy, meaning like they're all trying to be the one to cause it. But I think all of their works are futile. I don't think that's why I specifically bring up Revelation 9 because I don't think it's going to be men who start this all off. I think there'll be wars and rumors of war. I think there'll be trials and tribulations like there's always been. But I've always seen it as something really big that pops it off. Right? People talk
Hmm.
like, I'll give you
Hmm.
an example. People talk and be like, well, America gets EMP'd. Okay, well, countries and nations have and states have existed and fallen for thousands of years. So just because America falls, right? Like that wouldn't in to me just immediately mean end times, right? Like if just America had civil unrest and a civil war, right? Like we've had a civil war before and we
I
weren't
think
invaded and you get what I mean?
Babylon that it speaks of in Revelation. That's what I think America is.
Hmm.
Yeah,
To
I
Babylon.
agree with that in a way. I really do.
I think it could be like so this is the thing is I think things can be literally true like but there's also spiritual things because I think special boys cause events to happen to then say ooh look I was the one that fulfilled that scripture. But I think that that's happened for a lot of times. Like I think many dictators definitely in Europe caused certain events to happen because they read them in the Bible and they interpreted it in their times, and then they try to make those event happens from their mind, like from their uh, point of view at that time in that age. So I think God the Father causes these things to actually happen. And that's why specifically I again bring up Revelation 9 because he was given a key to the shaft of the bottomless pit. Who gave him that key? Right? Obviously the key was given to him at least by the Father because it was given, it wasn't stolen.
But it's not an asteroid either. I was
Well,
wanting to
no, no, no.
know.
But hear me out. When I say asteroid, bro, I'm not saying it's a real asteroid. I'm saying that's how the media, that's how the world is
We'll
going
play
to
it
portray it out.
to bring on the alien of it. Yeah, yeah.
It's going to be the star. It's going to be an angel, right? And that angel's going to open the shaft of the bottomless pit, but they're going to say, "Oh, it's an asteroid." I mean, "Oh no, it's a spacecraft." "Oh, look at the aliens coming from the spacecraft." I'm
Right.
saying that's how the world is going to
Yeah.
portray it, but we know what it actually is.
All right. Yeah, I thought about well,
Well, that
I
one colonel came out and said,
opinion
uh,
on what
uh,
asteroid too, and I've got an opinion too. I want to run by y'all about. Maybe not asteroids, but shooting
Okay.
stars. And I want
What were you gonna say, bro?
Oh,
Go
I was
go ahead, Anthony.
Tommy's opinion on what asteroids were, and
Yeah. So how do asteroids and meteors work on a shooting stars all work on a flat Earth? So this is my personal opinion. I haven't been able to prove it yet, but I'm trying to work out an experiment where we can do that. So my opinion on it is, if I were to take a glass of water and I drop ice cubes in it, let's say I'm in a room that's room temperature, 72 degrees. What happens to the outside of that glass of water? You get
Condensation.
condensation. Right. Now, what if I lower the room temperature down to 32 degrees? That condensation freezes and forms ice cubes. I believe that you have the condensation forming up at the higher part of the dome there, and it accumulates and crystallizes and forms ice. And as it drops down, because the atmosphere is less dense there, so you have a less dense medium, that ice can travel much faster towards the surface of the Earth. And as it travels real fast up there, it accumulates different particles that are in the atmosphere,
Right.
um, different minerals and stuff. And because it's traveling so fast, it creates a compression wave in front of it. As that compression wave gets faster and faster as it gets through thicker parts of the atmosphere, it produces fire. And depending on what materials are present in that part of the atmosphere, like let's say that's more in the nitrogen enriched area or more of an oxygen enriched part of the atmosphere, you're going to get different colors. That's why you see different colors on asteroids, which that works on the globe or the flat Earth.
You,
Now, as it comes faster and faster and faster, those particles that it's collected and um, harden and become rock. And as it comes down, they're compressed so hard. When it hits, finally, that's why you only find like small rocks. You don't find like
Hmm.
a giant meteor because all it's done is accumulated the different particles that were in the atmosphere and compressed them into a rock, and that's what's hit. So that is my opinion on that.
Hey, I seen a video
I,
on.
go ahead. Sorry. I
Yeah,
well, go ahead.
I seen a video on asteroids, and there's some really big ones. I think could they be chunks of the dome? 'Cause
That that
they said that
Go
the
ahead, Frankie.
dome could be miles thick, and we know they shot nuclear weapons into the top of the dome trying to crack it.
See, that's where I was about to go. Lots of places all over the plane talk about specific pieces that have fallen throughout the years, and they're special and they're worth money. Now, what if the dome uh, can purpose itself? Not repurpose, but like if it starts
Regenerate.
flaking, yeah, so it starts flaking off, so things drop and it's good to go. You know what I mean? They've been trying to crack at it for a while now anyway, and it until God's ready, God's ready. But I think a theory is that it could be possibly that also, like what Tommy said with some things, like what he's talking about the condensation and all that. That's very
Yeah, I agree
plausible
with
there.
that.
It
Yeah, I
just
agree with
I'm
that
thinking
also.
with those little chunks that are actual glass and stuff like that, that might be
Right.
part of the firmament. It might be. It's a good, it's just something I was looking at too.
There's some really big ones. I mean, like meters and meters big, like like almost the size of a house. I watched the video on it, and they're huge, but they have this like either they're like metallic or it's like some kind of orange glow to it, like substance to it. It's not regular rock. You can tell it's something extraordinary.
Also you got to keep in mind too, they can drop stuff out of planes.
yeah, I'm
Okay,
I'm
keep
kind of
that in
along
mind.
those lines there
Oh
because
yeah, they can
I
do
don't think
anything.
this creation's falling apart.
Yeah, and make like literally just make stuff in the lab and then throw it at a
Exactly.
rocks and say they discovered what you were kind of
Bingo.
back to kind of what you were saying, Tommy. Another thing I was thinking as you were saying that, as it's following and gathering speed, right? That would
Hmm.
also cause a vibration. So what if the ice itself is then vibrating at a point where it's going through a phase of like bio not bio photoluminescence where it's basically the water starting to light up because of the frequency that it's being rattled at as it falls. Just a thought.
Almost like a diode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then it would have like it's falling through the ether, so there would be like quote unquote positive and negative charge. So I don't know, just an interesting thought I had while you were explaining the like maybe the fire part of it or whatever, the
Now,
light part of it.
I didn't want to combine these two things together because that's something I've still been thinking about a lot because my mind tends to be thinking all the time. But imagine if it's falling and it gets to an area where there's a lot more metals and minerals in the air, right? That's going to produce a bigger rock, much bigger rock, and it's going to create a bigger impact. Now, what could possibly create more particles and these minerals up in the air and these elements that are up there? We see it every day, the chemtrails
Yeah, the
dispersing
barium,
in the atmosphere.
strontium,
Yeah,
aluminum.
and it all comes back to because that's what I do for a living. I work on fueling systems for at
That's a good
airports
thought.
and gas stations, and I've seen them add the chemicals to the jet fuel. Like it's called JP5, and the stuff that they add to the JP5, which is the commercial jet fuel, is called Status 450, STADIS 450. They just take a 55-gallon drum of it and dump it into the tank. Now, does the pilot know that they've added that to the fuel? No. So the pilots are completely, innocent of that. And let's say most airports you have several tanks. The one that I was just working on last week, we had 3 tanks there under the ground. So who's the person to say, all right, plane A pulls up. All right, we're going to have you fill up from tank B. All right, so plane B shows up. We're going to have you fill up from tank C. Well, the one with all the chemicals in it is actually in tank A. So when plane F shows up and they're like, all right, we're going to have him fill up from tank A because he's taking this certain route. And then that's when the chemtrails are spread along certain routes
Mm-hmm.
because they're having them fill up from certain tanks. So the pilots would not have any way of knowing that information. But I've
Got you.
actually seen it added to the fuel, and you can look up the MSDS sheets, the material safety data sheets, because one good thing about OSHA is that that's public information now, is we can see exactly what's in status 450. It's aluminum, barium, sulfur, all the elements that you see in chemtrails.
Well, don't they know that it's harming people and the environment and everything?
Yes.
Well, of course they do. But look at the people that are going to make the laws. Who's going to say, all right, it's now illegal to spray chemtrails? Who would be in charge of doing that? Well, the person that's in office that was funded by the people that are producing these chemtrails. So, yet, do they know that it's harmful? Yeah, they've known that cigarettes are harmful to people for many years. But does that mean they're illegal? No. Just because something's harmful to the general population doesn't mean that they care.
Well, and
Exactly.
another thing that I want to bring up specifically about chemtrails is because we've been
Healthcare.
having all these big wildfires, and aluminum oxide is very volatile. So all that stuff has to fall down somewhere, right? Where, well, if you're getting that powder coated on all the pine trees and all the ground, and when a fire does produce, you're talking about way bigger fires than you normally have. Weird. It's kind of like that's exactly what we've been noticing with that quote unquote natural disaster.
Right.
Exactly.
The
And
forest fires. Go ahead.
it's burning hotter. So the things that normally wouldn't burn, now everything's burning.
And then obviously they're all using that as a um, as a way to hide also whatever they're doing with like the direct energy
That's where I was going.
equipment
Yep.
they have.
That's
Yeah.
kind of where I was
We
going to be right there.
Yeah, we saw that with the California fires. That if you looked at the Doppler stuff that people were putting up, they could see the lines being shot, and then all of a sudden fires starting. And then you got fires starting where the communities are all done, burnt up, but no forest fires. You can even have spots where you have your trash can sitting right outside their house, and the whole house is burnt except for that trash can. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
the trees.
Yeah.
Something funny was going on.
Totally. So That's the thing, man, is they're doing on multiple levels, but I also think there's groups with like there's multiple groups and they're all fighting to be the most special boys. So I think there are fighting groups, and that's kind of part of the reason why it takes them longer to get stuff done is because they have opponents that are fighting against them being the special boys because they want to be the special boys.
Well, I want to kind of look at the spiritual side of it too. Um, could it be now? This could be like shooting stars, what we call them, right? Um, could it be? You know how in Job where Satan counseled with Yahuwah about Job in heaven. So there's other places where demons and stuff like that they can make it to heaven and like listen in, but they can't stay there very long. I don't remember where I heard that, but it was in extra biblical text somewhere. But anyway, whenever they're cast back down to earth, it supposedly looked like lightning or possibly shooting stars. Um, what do y'all think about something along those lines?
I think there could be both. Like there could be a physical and a spiritual element to it. Maybe even the spiritual element takes on a physical element, or maybe the physical event is a symbolic, a spiritual has a spiritual. Who knows? Um,
Well, I do believe that spirits are real things. It's
oh,
just
for
only
sure. Yeah, no, I understand that. But yeah, so
Well, after the fallen fell, where did they go? And can they re-inhabit or come back in somehow? Maybe that's the AI system they're doing. They're trying
well,
to hook everything up through. I don't know.
the
I have
actual
no clue.
are in prison.
They
The
get chained up, right?
Yeah, the offspring of them though they didn't have anywhere to go. Their spirits didn't have anywhere to go. No heaven or hell. They were an abomination, which they're not meant to be. So they're not gonna exist. But their spirits still exist now. The great day of judgment hadn't happened yet. So their
Right.
spirits hasn't been tossed into the lake of fire, so to speak.
Yeah, hence AI. If you do the Google Earth and you look all over, you can see it looks like there was titans or whatever laid down all over. I mean, we've all done the research and stuff like that, and that's something that normally I don't talk about, but there's something there. There's something there. You know, they were huge. They were huge.
really interesting for sure. Sweet. Well, I guess was there we still got, about 40 minutes left. We could always call it earlier if you'd like, or if there's anything anyone else particularly wanted to bring up or ask Tommy, go ahead.
Great work, Tommy. Keep going. Keep going. That's all I wanted to say.
If there's any questions anybody has in the chats anywhere, by all means ask them. We'll try to chat and see what we can see if we can put our heads together about it.
Definitely. I got an event coming up in a couple weeks. It's 2 weeks from now. It's going to be on a Sunday, and we're going to be picking up trash along the side of the interstate. We're going to make this plane a better place, be the change that we want to see. And while we're picking up trash, we're going to have big flat earth banners and signs lining the interstate.
Right
So
on.
while we can't, buying billboard, that's a great idea, but I can't afford an entire billboard. So just get some flags and then go make our community a better place.
Oh
Perfect.
yeah, awesome
Perfect,
idea.
Tommy.
And then you're gonna be streaming that on your channel?
Yeah, either I'll be streaming it or I think Brian and Stavely and Karen B may be coming to that. She said that she would be interested in coming, so if they come, they can stream it.
If
He puts out very, very good work. I privileged to meet the guy, privileged to be a friend, and he just pumps out content like you wouldn't believe, and it's all good. It's all good. Thank you, Tommy. Thank you.
I appreciate the kind words, guys. It's just this whole community, getting together. Because between all of us there in the South Kakalaki crew, we only have one YouTube channel. So just because you see it on my channel doesn't mean that I, did all of it myself. It's just all of us together as a community producing good content and getting out and spreading the word to people and, helping them form a relationship with your creator.
Yeah, absolutely. And I could be the first to say that because yeah, I'm running the YouTube channel, but if it wasn't for all these guys coming and talking with me and joining at the table, like there would just be me talking, and that's not what I would want to do. So
Right.
yeah, I totally, it's the inspiration. Like Frankie's brought music, Anthony has brought people, like everyone is bringing something to this community and this group, and that's why we love it, and that's why we're trying to grow it. So that's, obviously sharing and commenting on videos and stuff like that really helps us out. And kind of to transition over to that real quick, I kind of wanted to go over some comments from our last video that we did, episode number 7, Cleansed, and talk about those real quick. So let me pull that up for the
Yeah,
screen.
I just want to say thanks, Tommy, for coming on and giving that presentation. It was really good, very
Oh, no,
informative.
no problem, brother. I'm glad that's the first time I've really presented that information. So I'm glad that you guys enjoyed it. And hopefully we can work together, come up with some new stuff about sonic booms because I really, really think that's a good way to nail NASA because I don't think they can produce those N waves.
No, way.
Good
Yeah.
They'd
stuff,
have to
brother.
start putting them in. They would have to start putting them in, and then that would be a problem.
And I just want to say also, Tommy, I do appreciate you coming on with us and sharing what you found and the research that you're doing, man. You're doing some amazing work, and man, we all appreciate it. Just want to say thank you, and please keep up the good work. Absolutely, man.
Thank
You're
you,
a
brother.
guy on the inside. You're on the inside, like, because where you work and all, it's so cool that we have you to inform us what's going on. It's really
And
Yeah,
awesome.
and I love to see communities are coming together. We're sharing just all sorts of stuff and coming together as a unit. So that way people aren't butting heads when we get into a discussion on the street somewhere or something. We all learning together, in other words.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. All right, here's
Yep. Yeah, I guess so. Hold on. Let me go check the YouTube channel.
I can't tell you about the YouTube.
Yep. No sound. No sound on YouTube.
Ruh-roh.
It's back on.
All right, sorry
Yep.
about that, guys. All right. I'm gonna go back since no one heard me. I switched it up, but I think I'm good now.
Sounds good.
He's
Oh, it
got big elbows, ladies and gentlemen. He probably put his elbow on the mute button.
no. There's someone saying that they can't hear me, but y'all can hear them.
No,
As
you're
long
good
as you,
now, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, they said working now.
All right. Hopefully y'all can still hear me. I'm gonna go back through those. Sean. Sean joined us on the last episode. It was awesome. He gave us some great information about him and where the the difference between the Giants pre-flood and post-flood. And then thanks for the show there. Thanks for the love there. Reed, as well as Jeremy, legend that you are. And yeah, I need to get my internet upgraded, so it is a little slow right now. And then over to Take on the World. Shout out Take on the World. We got a few people here. I have no idea how to pronounce this. Really enjoyed the conversation. This is a great show. Thanks for that. And then, according to what I've learned about the Alvandulian world, it never rained before the flood. The people of that time didn't know what rain was. A mist would rise out of the ground to water the earth. Yeah, I think that's a scripturally based that there was no rain, but maybe even the rain system worked differently. So yeah, who knows? Um, and let's just see here. So it looks like Natalie Lang put a whole bunch of stuff. So I'll read that all together and I'll go over to Regine. Noah and Seth were
hey,
righteous men.
hold on, Peter. Can I ask
Uh-huh.
Tommy? Do you know anything about that with the mist rising up? Is there any scientific evidence of it that you've researched that you've done on that?
Time before the moon. Keep going, Tommy.
Oh, the mist rising up, and you want to talk about the time before the moon?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so a few years back when I first got into flat Earth, I remembered something I learned about in college, and it was about the time before the moon. And I started looking into a lot of the ancient religions and read through their text, and they all describe the same event. They all talk about the time before the moon. And if you look at the timeline, it all coincides with the timeline from the Bible of the Great Flood. And if we take a look at the Aborigines, so you got a tribe in Australia, then you got the Zulus in Africa, then you have the Hopi Indians here in North America, the Sumerians in southeastern Asia there. So you have all these different ancient religions. They all describe an event, and they said that the sun was here during the day, but there was no light at night, and the moon was brought here. And when the moon was brought here, it was brought too close to the earth, and it caused a great flood. And that, like I said before, that timeline of all those religions all happened at the same time. So they had no way of talking to each other, but for some reason, this event they were able to pinpoint it at the same point in time in which the flood for the Bible. And they said that the moon was taken a little farther away from Earth after a month or so, which we look back at the Bible, 40 days, 40 nights. And you look at the Hopi religion, they said a invisible barrier was put over the entrance to a cave, and all the Hopi Indians went into the
Mm-hmm.
cave system, and then the land flooded above them, but they were protected by the invisible barrier, almost like a force field. But of course, they didn't have a word for force field. And then when the waters receded, the invisible barrier was lifted, and they were all be able. And every ancient religion describes that same event. So it's kind of interesting that they would all come up with that same story. And I was actually, when I bring that up, I like to ask other people's opinions on that. Like, what do they think that time for the moon is? Because if we look back at Genesis, the sun and the moon, the greater light and the lesser light, were in the firmament. So we know it's inside the firmament. That tells us that it's not outside the firmament, and the stars are also in the firmament as well. So, what do you guys think about that and that type of timeline?
So just one thing is with Noah was on the boat for 150 days, not 40 days. That's kind of just like a thing. 40 days, 40 nights is kind of just like a thing that's said, but he was actually in the boat for 150 days. My only thing is then we're kind of it's kind of going almost esoteric in the essence that we believe, or the modern world now believes, that the moon has effects on the oceans and the waters.
Right, the tides, right.
But do we think that that's true? Like, I guess
No.
if the moon is somehow electromagnetic thing instead of an actual object, then yeah, it could cause things to happen to salt water. That's why we could see tides in salt water and not lakes, as an example.
Well, there's
Um,
also a theory that the moon is a reflection from the dark sun too, and it illuminates off of the dome. So the tide thing, that could just be a myth. You know what I mean?
well, and
Yeah, there's
I'm
no.
just connecting it to
Yeah.
what Tommy said about them bringing the moon here and then it causing the like being the thing that caused the flood, whereas in just at least scripturally it says that it's the earth, the earth burst forth water, and then the sky, the windows of heaven were opened and the water poured down. So but anyways, maybe there was like
Could have
as
happened all at once.
well, and what I was gonna say is maybe as it's described, like in prophecy of things to coming, like there's always like signs and markings in the heavens of things happening. So maybe like the moon was different before, like the window, like before the windows of the heaven were open, maybe the moon looked different or appeared different, but after whatever happened, then it appeared differently, or easier in the sky, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
That's just
I was just relating that story. I wasn't saying, relating that to flat Earth in any way. Just saying that all the different religions talk about this, and
hmm
I just want to get your
Mm-hmm.
opinion on this. I wasn't talking about gravity and tides or nothing like that. I just wanted to
No,
throw
no,
that
that's
story
pretty
out there.
cool though.
Oh, so
That
specific.
that all the legends of each
Exactly. That's what
tribe
I was trying
have
to get him to bring
a
up.
legend of a hiding in caves. So I never heard anything like that. That's
Well,
Well,
pretty cool.
my
they
only
all have. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like what Tommy was saying, they all have the same speakings where the time before the moon. That's the main thing.
hmm
Go ahead.
The only thing I would add on to that is maybe, okay, because that seems, it seems kind of esoteric to me, just because it seems anti-biblical, unless we're saying the moon was one way and now it looks differently, so it appeared as it came to us. But the reason, main point being is maybe the reason why all these people have these same tales is because of like Nimrod and the dispersal of the 40 different tribes and tongues and nations. That like they all have a similar story, just like they all have their similar god of Nimrod, but they all
But
express it
before you
differently.
get back to the locust and Nimrod, Noah was on the ark for a year, not 150 days.
Okay, well I'm just saying per like 66 canon, it's 150 days.
I want to say hi to Trevor. How you doing, Trevor?
Yeah.
Hey guys, hey Tommy and everybody. Good conversation here, and
Hey,
had a great time at the Flattoberfest, by the way.
yeah, if you want to share any stories from there, that'd be cool.
Don't,
Um,
Your experience
nah,
of it.
don't, nah, don't share the
yeah,
one from when you came to the room, brother. Let's skip that one.
Yeah, we want to hear that one,
Oh,
especially.
that was the first thing that popped into my head. Actually, yeah.
I missed a lot, didn't I, Tommy?
Hey, can somebody mute
I
him real
knew it.
quick? Go ahead and mute Trevor. I think he's done.
That's great.
Shabbat shalom to you, Trevor.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
time's yours,
guys.
Trevor, if you want.
Shabbat shalom. What was that?
Time's yours if you want to share anything.
Or you have any questions for Tommy
Um,
or anything you wanted to bring up?
Yeah.
Yeah, I missed I think I missed a little bit at the beginning, but basically, Tommy, what do you work for? Some kind of jet fuel industry, don't you?
So I work on the systems that monitor fueling systems for airports, marinas, gas stations, things like that. But for the last few weeks, I've been mainly at airports.
Okay. Yeah, I look forward to. I know you kind of opened my eyes when you went to downtown Greenville and you actually had a EMF tester, and
Mm-hmm.
you had some people trolling you, following you around or something when you were showing just people who were walking downtown. You were showing them how that thing was going beeping off the charts, and some people started getting bothered downtown or something because you were opening people's eyes. That was one thing that you opened my eyes to. That was pretty amazing.
Oh,
Yeah,
people don't. Go ahead, Tommy.
I was going to say the legal limit for microtesla exposure here in South Carolina is 0.10 microtesla, and we were able to get readings up to 0.53 microtesla right
Oh,
there in front of the news station. So I'm standing out in front of the news station speaking very loudly. No one's concerned about this. It should be news. Why isn't this on the news? You're breaking the law right here. You had these, I don't want to say the word, but these G towers right here. But the way they put them in Greenville is they're on the crosswalks, so that light right there, it's at head level. So you're
oh
standing there,
no.
you stand there to wait across the road, and they have them disguised in these black tubular things with vents on them, and they attach them to the light poles with the crossing things, and you're standing there just getting beamed into your head. And I'm like, it's 5 times the legal limit right here. And
Well,
so
that's that's what
we
they
went
wanted to
down,
do in New York too.
Well,
and we
go ahead.
I was
Go
going to
ahead.
say, last thing, we went down and we noticed there was a second one at the next street. So we went to the halfway point between the two, and there was a restaurant. And we talked to the people in the restaurant, and they said they keep having a problem with everyone calling in sick with massive headaches and nausea. Ever
No
since,
way.
and that started about 3 months ago. I said, well, that's when they turned it on. So there's the evidence for it right there that it's affecting the employees.
Oh, that's crazy. Hey, Tommy, what kind of degree do you have?
I have an industrial electrical degree.
Wow, it's awesome.
Nice.
So you're pretty much like a scientist then.
No, I'm just a guy that's interested in truth, like the rest of you guys.
Exactly. Exactly.
You are the smartest guy in the room then.
You know, Tommy, people don't realize even where you guys are sitting, and you guys have your Wi-Fi on, your Bluetooth, and everything else. That's the same type of radiation going through you, just like the radio waves. It's all radiation. So I just want to point that out. Even we're talking about the 5 and all that happening. You're doing the same thing by pumping that out all over. I'm just speaking to everybody on the chat, everybody that's going to be listening. They don't realize the things they're doing right in front of them. And some of
Well,
us have no choice, but go ahead.
BV, it's funny. Whenever I put my Bluetooth headphones in, my ears leak.
Yep.
I
Yep.
can't use them because my ears will leak for like 3 or 4 days. But the
It's
regular
no.
wired headphones, I have no
You're good.
problem with.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. That's no joke. I used to
Oh,
have Bose and Beats, and I remember I was coming back from a poker tour, and I was gonna splurge a little bit. So my buddy had some Bose, so I went in the store, bought some Bose, come out, put them on, and they made me feel weird. And I take them off. I'm like, why do they just make me feel weird? And he's like, oh, you got to get used to it. So I put them on and I started getting used to it. But then it dawned on me, wait a second, I got 2 super magnets basically just pounding this Bluetooth and Wi-Fi right through my head. Nope, 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 nope. Right on air, I smashed all my stuff. You know what I mean? It's like that's a no-no. We don't even do microwave here. It's people don't realize there's radiation everywhere being pumped through your house, especially with your new smart meters. Yeah, that's another one. Just wanted to throw
Yeah,
that in there. Go ahead.
they say that when you have your Wi-Fi on at night when you sleep, it it'll stop you from dreaming and
Mm-hmm.
it'll interrupt your sleep. I actually watched a video on that where they were telling you to turn your Wi-Fi off and you'll get a better night's sleep.
Yeah, I'm hardlined in. I don't do
Yeah, I
anything
like the
without being
hard line.
hardlined in. Yep. Do you want your Wi-Fi? No, thank you.
But it is a reminder that the symbols that we use every single day and where they come from. People don't really look into them. Like the symbol for Bluetooth comes from Harold
Mm-hmm.
Gorms Harold Gormson, and we know him as the guy that brought Christianity to Northern Europe. And the two symbols for the Bluetooth symbol was, he was known as Harold Bluetooth Gormson. So it's the Nordic runes that form that bind and that symbol. So just interesting point.
Yeah, actually, the power button on all of our devices is I think it's some kind of like Mason symbol. If I'm
I saw a breakdown, something like that. I think you're right.
yeah, I'm not 100%. I know it's some type of symbol, but I think it's like a Messianic symbol.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me because look at all the major industries and the symbols that they choose, and then look at all the people who are at the top of those industries and what type of people they are. So of course, like for instance, in just in like electricity, they have a whole bunch of symbols, and a lot of those symbols can, basically be traced back to some type of an occult thing. And I kind of wanted to bring that up because in the work line that I do, I get to talk to a lot of people, and I've been, bringing up the caduceus, and so I always knew about the caduceus from the side of the symbol of the Baphomet, but until Sean from Kingdom and Context broke down how it was the symbols of Hermes slash Hades, as well as Anubis and Nurgle and all these other depictions of the same character, and how like every time you walk into a hospital, you were going into a place where you can, if you look up that symbol and what it means, you get it all right there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that that's like kind of random. RV Truth, how he always is talking about symbols. I think that they've based the world upon it.
Yeah.
And so, like for instance, in let's say electricity, you had people like Thomas Edison um, doing electricity and Benjamin Franklin doing electricity. So it doesn't surprise me that there's some symbology within all those different types of field of occultic things.
Oh yeah, yeah. The symbols of certain currents or whatever you want to call them, those chips, they're all different and they look symbolic. It's just like I always told at one point, isn't our English writing, isn't it like more like angelic?
The English?
Yeah,
I don't know, brother. English kind of tastes bad in my mouth.
exactly. The
I,
fallen I'm talking about.
It's
oh,
it
yeah, maybe so. Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely like spelling, right? Like spelling.
Exactly. That's
There's
exactly
tons of gravel within our thing, and like the sun and sun, like um yeah, there's so many things like that in the world, but I think it's like that's why he tells us to be in the world, not of the world. Don't
bingo.
get into all their super special symbols and all that jazz to just to be in the world that the Father created for you type of deal.
Well,
Mm.
they do everything in plain sight. They get energy out of that. Like when they show off and they do it right in our face. Ooh, look at Hollywood and all the symbolism. It's all basically right in our face, and I think they gain energy from that.
It may be a spiritual thing. It could also be like a placebo thing, like even a spiritual placebo thing, or like a uh like it
Conditioning.
well, like in any man's actions is in any man's eyes his actions can be justified, but it's the Lord that weighs our hearts, meaning like men can do horrible things and justify it at good reason. So in the same, kind of take that to the other side, if that makes sense. But anyways, um, one kind of thing that I was also kind of been looking at is how how much move they are going to those short snippet videos. So I
Oh,
wonder, I
go ahead.
wonder, I just saying, I think there's something deeper than just them looking at short clips. I don't know what it is, but do y'all have any thoughts about that?
You mean like TikTok and all that?
TikTok and
Where, yeah,
yeah.
it's because people have a goldfish mind, so they got to keep them short. And if they're watching small bits, they're just going to keep watching them. I caught my wife doing it the other day, where she sat here for 3 hours watching small bits just over and over and over again. It just dragged. She knows better, but she got sucked in. So you're right about something like that. Something's going on there to where they're able to grab a bigger audience with these smaller videos.
No, but
You know what I mean?
yeah, but but I feel like there's another reason why they're doing it. It's not just simply to like make money or to get
No,
people to
it's
consume more
nefarious,
entertainment. I just don't know what it
I,
is.
Have you
I
ever
think it has
watched?
something to do with. Go ahead,
dumbing them
Anthony.
down. Go
Yeah,
ahead, yeah.
dumbing people down. Yeah, that's what I was
Yep,
going to say. Go ahead.
yep,
Just another form of dumber downers.
yep.
Mm, I can
It's
see
going to get
that.
to a point where it's icons, and that's all you're spelling by, you're pushing buttons for, and stuff like that. It's idiocracy all over again. You know what I mean? It's crazy, except for the ones that don't take the thing, and then we'll see what happens there. But they're going for idiocracy. That's what they're going for.
Right. Have y'all seen Lost, the series,
Yeah, totally.
the whole thing? You remember there's one part where this guy's trapped in this room and he's got these goggles on and he's watching all these flash by
Uh-huh.
videos. Wow.
Oh, dang, dude. I didn't even think of that. Or like the conspiracy theories with Mel Gibson, or like 28 days later with the chimpanzees, like showing them all the violence. Dude,
Yeah,
oh
yeah.
my God, it's like clip over clip over clip. I did not even think about that.
Clockwork
So
Orange
it's like
too.
people, yeah, it's like people choosing to do that. And then with their algorithms, they can feed you exactly what they want you to see. Oh
Yes,
my
yes,
God.
It's
yep.
called MK Ultra.
Well,
Dude.
that's just like your recommendations on YouTube. It all started with it recommended this, this, and this, and this, and then us open-minded people went, "Huh, let me check that out." Flat Earth, really? Are you kidding me? Boom, and then that changed. Whoa, Mandela, boom, and all these other things. It just they started with these small algorithms to see who's going to take it, and then they fed it to us. Same thing. That's all I wanted to say.
Wow.
Hey, I wanted to ask Trevor a question. Hey, Trevor, how did it
Yeah.
feel sharing all them scriptures in the middle of the courtyard? That must have been exciting. When you and
Man,
Flat Jack were all witnessing.
yeah, that was a high for me, man. I haven't got on the mic in a while. I used to have a little mic of my own, just a small little speaker that some other street preachers actually just gave it to me because I was just yelling out with my regular voice before that. And I met some street preachers who I started street preaching with them, and they gave me a microphone. They said, "Try this out, man." And I was like, "Okay." And it was nice because you could actually talk. You could actually kind of do a sermon more rather than just well,
Yelling
you
the
could,
Yes.
same thing over and over.
yeah, you could more kind of talk what's in your heart and mind, rather than focusing on just projecting your voice really loud with a script kind of memorized, you know. But yeah, that was and I was able to do that on Austin's microphone. I started actually explaining some stuff because you can actually talk on those. But it had been a little while because my other microphone got stolen. It was like a $20 one off eBay. They're pretty cheap, but I never actually purchased another one. And but that was a highlight, man, to be able to get on there. And I know there's a lot of us truthers that believe in flat Earth, but maybe they don't want to connect it to the Bible too much. They want to stay away from talking about the Bible and preaching Jesus or whatever. And I know that's. I get very nervous, man. I mean, but once you see all the prophecies that have been fulfilled, how many times the Bible has told the future accurately, and that, and you've studied all the history and archaeology, and this book is true. It's more scientific than anything that's out there, and it's a spiritual. This is a spiritual existence, and sometimes I'm like, "Why am I here, man? This world is not my home." I'm trying to explain to people this is a spiritual battle. This is a spiritual world. This is spiritual, and they think it's all material. They think it's all chemical. They think there's no morality, no creator to answer to, and to. That's what really. I'll preach what I have to. I'll preach creation. I'll preach that the Bible says the earth is flat and stationary with a firmament, because that's important. Creation is, if they can't understand the physical things, then they're not going to understand the heavenly spiritual things. That's exactly what Yahusha said, that so you may as well start at the foundation of creation, and that's why I do that, but I don't get bogged down with the science of it. And I love that Austin is so good at what he does, but at the end of the day, it's like, man, I just need to preach the word.
Well, it's the only accurate history we have, because all of our history is one lie after another. But the Bible is literally the only real, true history we have. And I was so excited for you when you got up there, and you really you did a great job sharing the word. That added such another, because a lot of flat earthers, I don't know if they're all biblical. They all, like you said, they all believe. And when you shared the word like that, I was like really excited for you, and I know you enjoyed it.
Well, go ahead.
Right quick, Tommy said he's got a little one running around, so he needs to go.
We're about 5 minutes out anyway, so we can start saying goodbye, everyone. We'll go ahead and say bye to. But
I want to stay on this topic a little while longer. I just wanted to.
I have children as well, so we got basically 5 minutes anyway. So we'll just start closing down, and we can always jump on like the after talk, and everyone's welcome to do that. Check out Discord; it's in the description as well. But anyways, yeah, we'll go ahead and say goodnight to Tommy, and then we'll go through the list. So thank you again for having us, Tommy. Say goodbye to the folks.
Hey, thanks for letting me come on, guys, and go over a few things. I really appreciate presenting stuff on this channel with like-minded people. And Trevor, I really enjoyed what you did out there, brother. You come out to the flea market anytime and preach out there as well. We'd love to have you. And I just want to leave you with one thing, and that's John 3:12. If I have told you of earthly things and ye believe not, how shall ye believe if I tell you heavenly things? So if you know not upon the world in which you live, you'll never know the kingdom of heaven. So that's one thing to think about when looking into flat Earth. So thank you guys. You have a good night.
Amen,
Yeah,
brother.
awesome. Thank you, bro.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, brother.
Hey, thank you, Tommy. It was a
So,
privilege.
until
Always a
next,
privilege.
yep, and until next time, man. Father bless you and Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Tommy. Come by anytime, brother. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Thanks, Tommy.
Awesome. All right. Well, again, thanks for having us, Tommy. We always love you being here. And we'll go ahead and throw it to BV. Say good night to everyone, brother.
Hey, thank you for having me. I love this group. You guys are always open-minded. Um, just gotta say, thank you, Tommy, for coming over, and he always has good information. He's a mic drop everywhere he goes, and I love running off him. I really do. Love to hear him. Love to, like I said, bounce off him, and just like you guys, love bouncing off every single one of you guys. You guys are awesome. Thank you, and to the chat.
Thank you, BV. Couldn't do
Thanks,
it without.
BV.
Yeah, absolutely. And Trev, you joined us late, but it's always a pleasure to have you. And remember, brother, you can join us anytime you're able to make it. We always love having you on here and getting your pieces of the puzzle and your questions. But other than that, yeah, say goodbye to everyone.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, goodbye, everyone.
Right on.
Trevor,
Exactly.
you're a legend, brother. You and
All right.
Tommy.
Yeah, I would have told a little bit more of the story, but if we maybe save it for another time. I don't, probably everyone.
I actually, if you would stick around for a few minutes and finish that story, I'm very interested in it.
That's
I,
fine, man.
I didn't know close to time. I'm sorry about that.
No, I came on late, so.
Yeah, and I don't mean to cut y'all off, but I also have fatherly and husbandly duties that I have to
Yeah.
attend to. So,
Oh yeah, yeah.
He's
As do
hinting.
I.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Well, we always love having you on, Trevor, and again, you're always welcome to stay. And then I'm gonna throw it to you, Anthony, and then Frankie. You call out your song again, but um, go ahead, Anthony. Say your goodbyes as well, sir.
Yeah, I just want to tell everybody I appreciate y'all for coming hanging out with us tonight. Shabbat shalom. Special shout out for the Take on the World chat, West Blaze and Disputed Lands. Shout out to y'all. Thank y'all for showing up. Hope y'all enjoyed it. And everybody else for coming and hanging out with us. Thank y'all. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Awesome. And then, yeah, guys, thank you always for being out, for coming and joining us. Those that are in the chat, those that watch the videos afterward. Now, I just want to kind of reiterate and say, guys, we're not claiming to be teachers. We're just individuals coming together and sharing where we're at. Now, some of us are stronger in other places of scripture than others, and so we're just sharing that information. We're sharing those pieces of puzzle, and that's what we want. That's why we have the Discord, which we'd love for you to join. And one thing is we're trying to iron sharpens iron. That requires heat, friction, and the removal of material. And so we also reserve the right to be wrong, guys. These are our thoughts, our pieces of the puzzle, not the truth, and this is exactly what it is. So I just want to say that to those out there that here are the things that we talk about and say, we need to do more study. This is us studying. This is us fellowshipping. So this is what it's about. It's not about teaching people. It's about having conversations about the things that we do enjoy, including the Father and His creation. So that being said, I again thank you all for being here. Please, give us a comments. That really helps us spread, and we'll read them off next stream. And then share it so more people get here and can join this table. But other than that, it's always a pleasure to be around dear brothers and sisters. So Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I'll throw it over to Frankie.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thanks, Trevor, and our guest, Flat Fellow. It was awesome having you guys on here. Discussions are always good. Just to the community, just remember to spend time with the Father, because he loves you, he's in you, and he wants to fellowship with you. And the more we acknowledge him, the more gravy he'll give us. So just keep seeking the truth, and just keep serving Yeshua. And the title of this song is Love is Your Witness, because truly love is our witness. Our love walk should be the most important thing in our life, because when we love others, it shows the love of the Father coming out of us. So just remember, your love is your witness. And Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Enjoy your week, and we'll see you next Saturday.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Frankie.
Praise the Lord.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Here's Love is Your Witness.
Love is your witness. Love is your witness. Love is your witness.